You think you know classic trucks? Think again. Today we are diving deep into the strangest, most unconventional American trucks that ever rolled off assembly lines. These are not your typical Ford F-100s or Chevrolet C-10s. These are the oddball engineering marvels that challenged everything we thought we knew about truck design. Before we get rolling, if you are a true truck enthusiast who appreciates automotive history, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We are bringing you deep dives into vehicles most folks have never even heard of. We are starting with one of the most peculiar delivery trucks ever conceived, the Divco. If you grew up in the 1940s or the 1950s, you likely remember these distinctive snub-nosed vans delivering milk to your doorstep. The Model U, introduced in 1938, became America's most iconic delivery truck and remained in production for nearly half a century. The Divco was engineered by the Powell brothers and featured something absolutely revolutionary for its time. A single-pedal control system for both clutch and brake. Push it halfway down, and you disengage the clutch. Push it all the way to the floor, and the hydraulic brakes kicked in. This Warner gear innovation allowed the milkman to operate the truck with one foot while standing up. And yes, standing was the preferred method of operation. What made the Divco truly bizarre was its ergonomics. The driver could operate it from 4 different positions: seated, standing at the front, standing at the rear, or even from the running boards on either side. The Model U remained largely unchanged for decades, which speaks to the brilliance of its original design. Companies like Helms Bakery in Los Angeles operated fleets of Divcos well into the 1970s, with some still making deliveries into the 1980s. Today, a fully restored Divco Model U can fetch upwards of $180,000 at auction. At number 2, we have the Chevrolet Corvair 95 Rampside, the pickup with a side door, produced from 1961 to 1964. Let me introduce you to the Rampside, a rear-engine truck where the cargo bed had a door on the side. The idea was simple but brilliant. Instead of lifting heavy items over the tailgate, you could roll them up the side ramp. Power came from Chevrolet's air-cooled, horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine mounted in the rear. Early models featured a 145 cubic inch engine producing 80 horsepower at 4,400 RPM and a healthy 128 pound-feet of torque. For 1964, Chevrolet bumped displacement to 164 cubic inches, raising output to 95 horsepower. The engine breathed through a single Carter carburetor and used a belt-driven fan mounted on top of the engine for cooling. Despite its innovative design, only about 10,000 Rampsides were built before production ended in 1964. At number 3, we have the 1946 to 1952 Crosley pickup, America's smallest truck. In an era of excess, Crosley went the opposite direction, with a pickup truck that made a Bantam look big. The Crosley CC pickup, introduced in 1947, was powered by one of the most unusual engines ever fitted to an American vehicle, the Cobra copper brazed 4-cylinder. Here is where it gets interesting. The Cobra engine block was made from stamped sheet steel brazed together with copper. The engine featured a 2.5-inch bore and a 2.25-inch stroke, with 5 main bearings despite its diminutive size. It revved freely, with some racing versions spinning to 12,000 revolutions per minute and producing 60 horsepower. But there was a problem. Electrolysis developed holes in those copper brazed cylinder bores, requiring early rebuilds. Crosley quickly fixed the issue by switching to the CIBA engine in 1949. CIBA stood for cast iron block assembly, and it kept the same displacement and overhead cam design, but used a conventional cast iron block. The trucks themselves were incredibly efficient, achieving 50 to 55 miles per gallon. Despite that efficiency and a low price of $839, Crosley's never caught on. The trucks were discontinued in 1952 when the company ceased automobile production. Up next, at number 4, we have the 1955 to 1957 Powell Sport Wagon, built from junkyards. From California comes one of the strangest truck stories ever told, the Powell Sport Wagon, a truck built entirely from 15-year-old junked Plymouths. The Powell brothers, Hayward and Channing, had been building radios in the 1920s and scooters after World War II. In 1954, they had an idea. Southern California junkyards were full of 1941 Plymouth chassis, complete with engines and transmissions. These components could be bought for $45 to $60, rebuilt, and fitted with new bodies to create an affordable truck. The Powell brothers were not building hot rods or customs. They were manufacturing brand new vehicles registered as such by the Department of Motor Vehicles, despite using 15-year-old mechanicals. Each sport wagon started with a salvaged 1941 Plymouth chassis that was inspected, straightened, and rebuilt. The engine, typically a Plymouth 201 cubic inch L-head 6 and sometimes a Dodge 218 or 230 cubic inch engine, was completely torn down and rebuilt to like new specifications. The bodies were Powell's own design, simple flat panels stamped from heavy gauge steel with no compound curves to keep tooling costs low. The front clip was fiberglass, molded by a local boat manufacturer. Bumpers on early models were oak wood, switching to steel in 1956. Windows were the sliding type to avoid the complexity of roll-down mechanisms. But here is the genius. Powell added features Detroit did not offer. A telescoping tube storage compartment slid out from between the bed's inner and outer panels, perfect for storing fishing rods or hunting rifles. A spare tire lived in a hidden compartment under the bed. The bed itself was integrated with the cab and unibody construction, making the whole truck rigid and lightweight. Between 1955 and 1957, Powell built nearly 1,000 pickups and about 150 station wagons. Production ended not because of poor sales, but because they ran out of 1941 Plymouths in California junkyards. Today, the Powell registry lists about 130 known survivors. For number 5, we have the International Metrovan from 1938 to 1975. The International Metrovan was not just a delivery truck. It was a mobile billboard for Raymond Loewy's industrial design genius, serving American businesses for nearly 4 decades. Introduced in 1938, the Metro was designed by Loewy, the same man who styled the Studebaker Avanti and the Coca-Cola bottle. His original giant scarab design featured teardrop headlights, streamlined Art Deco curves, and rear fender skirts. What made the Metro strange was its forward control design. The driver sat ahead of the front axle, with the engine beside them under a doghouse cover. You could drive standing up, sitting down, or somewhere in between. The floor sat just inches off the ground for easy entry and exit, crucial when you were making 200 stops per day. The Metro's reliability and practicality made it the backbone of American delivery fleets. We're halfway through our list, so if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button to keep getting content like this. For number 6, we have Willys Jeep Truck, 1947 to 1965, the original 4x4 pickup. The Willys Jeep Truck was introduced in 1947, bringing military Jeep capability to the civilian pickup market. These trucks rode on a 118-inch wheelbase, substantially longer than a CJ, and were initially offered in both 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. Early trucks used the 134 cubic inch Go Devil flathead 4-cylinder from the CJ2A, producing a modest 60 horsepower. In 1950, Willys introduced the Hurricane F-head engine, an overhead valve design that kept the intake valves in the head while the exhaust valves remained in the block. In 1954, Willys added the Super Hurricane 6-cylinder option, displacing 226 cubic inches and producing 105 horsepower. The trucks received various updates over their 18-year production run. At number 7, we have the Dodge A100 pickup, the mid-engine marvel. Now we are getting into truly radical territory with the Dodge A100, a cab-over-pickup where the engine sits between the driver and passenger, creating what enthusiasts lovingly call the doghouse. This forward control design put the driver directly over the front axle, with the engine just behind the front wheels. Initial A100s featured Chrysler's legendary Slant 6 engine, starting with the 170 cubic inch version producing 101 horsepower. The engine's 30-degree lean to the right was originally designed for better packaging in conventional cars, but in the A100 it allowed a slightly lower hood line. But here is where Dodge got adventurous. In 1965, they offered the 273 cubic inch LA Series Vive 8, and by 1967, the 318 cubic inch V8 was available. Imagine sitting inches away from a 318 V8 running at full throttle, the heat, the noise, the vibration. Dodge added insulation to the doghouse cover, but summer driving was still an exercise in tolerance. What made the A100 truly legendary was Bill Maverick Golden's Little Red Wagon, a Hemi-powered exhibition drag truck that performed wheel stands the entire length of the quarter mile. Golden barnstormed drag strips for decades with this A100, making it one of the most recognizable exhibition vehicles in drag racing history. He went through 4 A100 bodies before retiring in 2003. For number 8, let's get into the Studebaker Champ, the parts bin special. If there is a truck that epitomizes making do with what you've got, it is the Studebaker Champ. This pickup was a masterclass in automotive Frankensteining, combining new styling with parts reaching back over a decade. The Champ featured a brand new cab for 1960, with styling cues from Studebaker's Lark passenger car line. But look at the bed. It is the same unit Studebaker had been using since 1948. In 1961, they switched to a wider bed borrowed from Dodge. No wonder the front and rear never quite looked like they belonged together. The Skybolt was more modern than the flathead sixes still common in the early 1960s, with overhead valves, a modern combustion chamber design, and respectable efficiency. It was paired with either a column-shifted 3-speed manual or an optional automatic transmission. But Studebaker's precarious financial situation meant production was always limited. When Studebaker ceased all vehicle production in 1966, the Champ disappeared with it. Today, restored examples are rare finds, particularly ones retaining the original Skybolt 6. Number 9, the Subaru Brat, produced from 1978 to 1987, the Chicken Tax Special. This car-based pickup is famous for one thing: rear-facing jump seats in the cargo bed. Why? The Chicken Tax was a 25% import tariff on light trucks that would have made the Brat prohibitively expensive. By welding in those plastic jump seats and adding carpeting to the bed, Subaru could classify the Brat as a passenger vehicle with only a 2.5% tariff. Brilliant? Absurd? Both. The Brat featured Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Early models had a single range transfer case with part-time four-wheel drive, but 1981 and later GL models received a dual range setup with low range for serious off-roading. Weighing just 2,200 pounds, the Brat offered excellent fuel economy and surprising capability despite its modest power output. Around 100,000 Brats were sold in North America before imports ceased in 1987. We're closing with the Jeep forward control trucks, the FC-150 and FC-170, which took proven Jeep mechanicals and wrapped them in the strangest body Willys ever conceived. The forward control concept came from military requirements for a compact truck with maximum cargo space. The FC-150 had an 81-inch wheelbase, while the FC-170 stretched to 103.5 inches. Both placed the driver and passenger ahead of the front axle, with the engine tucked under a cowl between the seats. What made the forward control genuinely strange was the driving experience. The virtually non-existent hood meant you had no idea where the front ended. The high seating position, combined with the short wheelbase, created interesting handling, especially when cornering with a full load. Despite their utility, forward control Jeeps never caught on with civilian buyers. Most went to commercial and municipal applications. Today, they are incredibly rare, with survivors often converted into unique campers or show vehicles. So there you have it, 10 of the strangest classic American trucks ever built, from tiny Crosleys to cab-over Jeeps. These weren't half-baked ideas. They were genuine attempts to solve real problems, even if the solutions looked absolutely bonkers. If you enjoyed this deep dive into automotive weirdness, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me which of these trucks you'd actually want to own, and I'll see you in the next video.